love exists.
Okay, you're asking me, am I conflating love with unconditional love?
Yes.
What I would say, okay, to that question, I would say I completely agree with what you just said. I don't believe that unconditional love exists. Let me go back and say right now, let me offer a criticism of what you just said. A minute ago, you said like, yeah, a lot of these men, they exacerbate, problems that already exist. They take to drinking, Well, you know what? I would offer criticism on that, and I think, let me spin this a different way. I think that a lot of times, the dysfunction is actually coming from the woman, and then the man ends up essentially the women drive the men to start drinking, where the man was not drinking at first. He is now experiencing whatever neglect or abuse or slights, put downs from the woman, and then he eventually starts drinking too much. But
well,
what do we do?
Let me give you a quick correction, right? Which is all right. So I said that some men, so like, okay, women initiate the divorce more, right? But because of men pride, right? Instead of being the one that actually initiate the divorce, something like that, right? So then they sometimes resort to self-sabotage, hence the drinking and all that stuff. So then, therefore, what my point is, it's not because I'm saying that, it's because of men, or that, they start drinking, they start doing this. But what I'm saying, though, is like, sometimes we don't like to put our foot down, right? Because, you heard the term, right? Happy wife, happy life, blah, blah, blah. We try to avoid conflict instead of actually staying on our own 2 feet and our own principle and correct it. You're like, all right, these are my conditions. So we're either going to follow it and stuff like that. We're either going to get through this or we're going to go our separate ways, right? And I believe that we breed a culture where the conviction out of women, out of men is breed out of us.
So, wait, I'm sorry. Can you repeat what you just said? You believe what is beaten out of us?
We had bred a culture. We had developed a culture where convictions from men is being breed out of us.
I see what you're saying. Strong convictions among men are being bred out. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Assertiveness.
Yeah, right. And I think that's on purpose.
Yeah.
I think that's on purpose.
So then if it's on purpose, so if we know what's going on, so then that's why we need to work on that. Instead of just continue to actually be like, well, it's women's fault. We already know that women going to take the shape of the container which replace them in. If we believe that all women are hoes, then guess what? They're all going to act like hoes, as we can see. If we believe that there are some good women out there, then that's what's going to happen as well.
I guess I don't know what to say to that. Like, I think the two of you are more optimistic than I am. I think that it's. I think you guys are sort of painting a picture of a situation that's way better. I think it's way worse. I think it's more like scorched earth policy. The culture war is totally lost. Now it's more like at this point it's like self-preservation. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I mean, of course, I'm painting a more optimistic picture because our experience tend to dictate our perspective. So with my experience with women, wasn't that horrible at all. Yeah, sure, I had like a couple of bad things here and there, but for the most part, it was great. So that's why my perception of women is different from yours. Yours is a different story.
Sure. Sure. Well, let me, if I may, let me ask you this, Art. What is your background? You almost sound like you have an accent. Are you from like the West Indies, or are you from? That's a guess.
Yeah. I'm married to a Polish woman.
Okay. I'm sorry. I actually didn't hear you. You sort of cut out. Where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Haiti, and my wife is Polish.
Haiti. Okay, so like Port-au-Prince or Tortuga or something like that. Very cool. Very cool.
Hey, Mgtow, I have a question for you. All right, first of all, I wanted to Siri Eyes. Did I pronounce her name right? Art series or?
Yep. Siri.
Okay.
Yep. Siri.
Because I think for centuries women had no choice but to stay in relationships that were really bad for them. So now the younger generations run at the first sign of trouble. Yeah, I agree with that. But I have a question for you, Mgtow. Now, I may not want to hear your answer, but just go ahead. Now, being that I've been married 3 times. Okay, I'm no longer interested in getting married. Okay, for for the obvious.
See,
reason.
you admitting that you don't want to get married again is basically the best argument I could. You're making my argument for me.
Okay,
I mean,
all right, wait a minute,
if it's so amazing, how come no one wants to do it anymore?
Right. All right. Wait a minute. Let me get my question out. Right. All right. So if I've gone through trouble, okay, and I would say that's probably the greatest form of going through trouble with women is divorce. Okay, losing your children and all of these different things. Yet I still now I don't encourage people to get married. Okay, I don't encourage them to get married. Yet I still endorse it as far as that marriage is a good thing, depending on what you do with it. Okay, so when I say endorse, I'm not saying guys go out and run out there and go get married. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm not okay. I've been through these things, yet I could still recognize that there are women out there who are good women who are not like all the others. There are few, clearly, but why do you think I could say that? Or am willing to say that, although I've been through these things, and I'm a Mgtow.
Well, because I think that you're partially right. There are some good women out there, but these are
good women.
These women, the ones that you speak of, the ones that are good, they get snatched up real early, or or maybe they decide. They're highly ambitious women. They want to become career women. Maybe some of them eschew marriage themselves. Mm-hmm. So, in the final analysis, what you have is if you have 100 women, let's say 5 of them are decent, and half of them are taken, and one of them doesn't even want to get married. What's left? Mm-hmm. I mean, 1, maybe 2 out of 100. It's so rare. I mean, so it's. So
you're acknowledging that there's. So you're acknowledging that there are good women out there, like I acknowledged.
Yeah. I mean, I also acknowledge that some of us win the lottery, but that doesn't mean you can put your hopes on winning the lottery because you can't do that. You got to get a job.
I agree with you there, but you were like you said you really didn't agree with me because I acknowledge those things, or if I understood you right, and then what is a good woman? Is a good woman a woman that's going to love you and be self-sacrificing, who actually takes care of you? I mean, because you have what I know that men appreciate is having a woman who actually is concerned about them. If you married or had a girlfriend, she might tell you it's just little simple things. Hey, put on a coat. It's cold out there. Or no, don't eat that. Here, let me fix you this. And so she changes your diet. So it's more beneficial to you. And there's just different other things that she does that she's showing that she cares about you, cares about your well-being.
Yeah. So if I can add to that, I would say when you bring up examples like, oh yeah, make sure you put a hat on. It's cold outside, or let me make you some chicken noodle soup. Let me cook you some better dietary choices.
Right.
Really, I think what you're pointing to. See, I like to come from a little bit more of a psychological perspective. I think that in the past, psychology was kind of like a voodoo science, not a voodoo science. It was a soft science. Now, increasingly, it's becoming a hard science. And now we're reconciling, psychology with neurology. We can prove, increasingly, certain psychology is becoming more and more of a hard science, and that's why I love to study it. My stepmother's mother was a medical doctor, and then she went back and became a psychoanalyst. And her and I spent many summers together alone in Wisconsin, and she would talk to me all about psychology and stuff. And so when you say stuff like, oh, don't you want that type of woman who will make you chicken noodle soup and he'll give you a hat and be nice to you and just the little things. When you say that, what I think you mean is, or how I interpret that is, you're saying you want a woman who has a very well-developed superego. So you have like the ego, you got the id, the ego, the superego. A lot of women are stuck in their ego. It's all about me. It's all about me, and it's all about me all day. But you don't want women like that. You also want people. What's that?
I think a lot of people in general are stuck in their ego, and that's why most relationships fail nowadays. It's because of the ego. It's not just a woman thing. A lot of men are stuck in their ego as well. I think there's a difference between. All right. So before I continue, let me ask you, right? What is the purpose of marriage to you?
So when we talk about marriage, I think we're talking about. I'm gonna stick with what today's current legal definition of marriage is.
No. I'm talking about to you as an individual, not what the book says, not what some philosopher says. I'm talking about to you.
Yeah, well, see, but that's the problem, though. That's the problem. Even if I consider marriage one thing, it doesn't matter because if shit, excuse me, stuff.
It does matter. But listen, it does matter because at the end of the day, when you get with someone or even a partner, you're not marrying a philosopher. You're not marrying people's perception of marriage, right? So that's why I'm asking you as an individual, your thought. I think that's the thing that we try to philosophize in everything, but we don't come up with our own perspective of things. So that's why I'm asking you as an individual, your own brain.
I think marriage should be a state of mind where a man and a woman come together to create a functional home. Where they can produce, fruitful offspring, where they can produce offspring, and they can create like a nurturing environment for those children, to go on and grow up and become good, productive members of their society, yada yada yada.